No worries. Well, welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm so blessed to be back with you in another amazing on purpose driven entrepreneurs and conversation. Today, we're talking about vision, our favorite topic. All those visionary CEOs always aligning and figuring out what the next step in their journey is, or what is the next dot to connect so that they can create impact and, of course, align their profits. I'm your host, Elona Lopari, helping companies and entrepreneurs scale their purpose and profits. And today, again, we're going to talk about how to expand your vision and break through the noise. That's a big topic, and everybody's always looking to figure out. We all talk about authenticity here, but obviously, there's strategic steps to take that we can do so in our companies and brand to stand out. And who better than Daniel Den, an amazing, impactful entrepreneur that creates magic in this area, is blessed, and we're blessed to have him join us today from Florida. So we're connecting virtually from Florida to New York. Daniel, thank you so much for being here.
Let's go. Taking over the East Coast, right, Elona? Elona Lopari, it's such a pleasure to be here with all the other conscious leaders out there. Let's make some magic happen today. Let's expand some vision and help people break through the noise even more.
Absolutely. And you're the rainmaker. It's right on your shirt. So remind me to talk about that kind of important intentional word, I'm sure, in your brand and the work that you do out there to create magic and make the world a better place at the end of the day as well. So let's start with, I usually start with some challenges that entrepreneurs and CEOs usually face around expanding their vision and breaking through the noise. What are some of the biggest challenges you've seen, Daniel, in the work that you do every day?
Well, so in 2024, there's a Forbes article that says that we're all exposed to about 4 to 10,000 different marketing pieces every single day. So 4 to 10,000 ads, marketing pieces, things vying for your attention every single day. And so you and I, Alona, and everybody listening, we have visions of impacting the world, and we have great messages that are worth sharing. And a lot of the times we try to share our message with others. We try to impact others, and a lot of the times it falls on deaf ears, not because our messaging is off, but simply because there's so much noise in the world. I mean, you live over there in Brooklyn, so you've been to Times Square. And so imagine Times Square is kind of like the analogy of too much noise going on in the world. There's too many messages going on. If you go and stand in the middle of Times Square, you have to intentionally stop and look at one thing to understand what's actually going on, because there's thousands and thousands of things vying for your attention every single moment inside of Times Square. It's crazy, but this is an analogy for our lives in 2024, because everybody has a voice in 2024. Everybody can just jump on TikTok or jump on Facebook and post something, and that adds to the noise. So the challenge is, with all of our worthy causes, with the impact that we want to make in the world, how do we stand out amongst those 4 to 10,000 different marketing messages that our dream customers are exposed to every single day?
Hmm. I love the comparison with Times Square, right? Because it is the city that never sleeps. And when you get up there, you get inspired, but also very distracted, right? Because there's always so many messages. And I think obviously we can't even take in all those important different messages, but we just tune out and kind of focus on some of the things that we might be purposely focusing on, or being intentional with. So I love the analogy that you used, Daniel, and also the fact that we're blessed to have so many channels. However, with every opportunity comes, the side effect or the challenge to be able to stand out. So I love that you articulated it so simply for people that can relate to some of the challenges they might be facing with just exposing their brand, exposing their cause, the reasons why they do the work they do, the purpose behind the work they do, and kind of aligning their profits with that as well. Because I think that's important, and that's the biggest challenge for most companies: cash flow and scalability of profitability. So Daniel, let's get into some processes, authentic processes, things that you have seen with your marketing. I know you're a marketing guy.
Yeah.
What are some of those channels, some of those things that we can do to stand out? Simply put, maybe connect a few dots for our audience today. That's kind of maybe utilizing a lot of the different channels for their visibility. However, maybe it's not really working for them, or they're just spreading themselves too thin, because just like anything else, marketing channels, it could be so many ways to expand and to invest and put ourselves in the shoes of our audience, because at the end of the day, that's what everybody's trying to reach, the people that they want to actually serve and help.
Yeah. So you reminded me of a really cool example I share in my book, Ideas That Influence. I know we'll talk a little bit about that later, but the the it all comes down to um, the messaging and different strategies for getting that message out to the world. So there's this really cool book that I mentioned before we went live to Elona, and Alona's like, "Wow, yeah, we got to talk about that." So there's a book by John Mackey called Conscious Capitalism. Oop, oop, see if I can show that there. Conscious Capitalism, and inside of his book, so he's the CEO of Whole Foods, and Whole Foods, it got bought by Amazon, and for lots of money, billions of dollars. And in the beginning, the concept for Whole Foods was, we're going to provide organic, better foods to the world. But the interesting story, and he talks about this in Conscious Capitalism, and I talk about it in the book, is that at the time when they started Whole Foods, which I believe was in the 80s. It might have been in the 90s. It might have been another decade, but I believe it was the 80s. If recollection, if I'm remembering correctly, at the time, very few people were talking about this very worthy cause of eating better, eating organic. And so what they quickly found out was, if they had a store that only provided the best foods, only provided organic, only provided low sugar content, taking out all the bad stuff, corn syrup and all of the dyes and stuff, if they only provided that, then the world was not ready at the time to support the business. In other words, if their store only had that, they would have too few customers. And so, what they needed to do in order to start spreading their message was, they needed to strategically plan out inside of their business how they were going to share the message, and slowly grow their concept, and slowly impact more and more others to eat better. And so they actually, in their stores, you'll still find it today. If you go to Whole Foods, there's lots of healthy options, but there still are unhealthy options. And people ask John Mackey all the time, why are there unhealthy options still inside of your store? And the answer is, because people buy them. And until people stop buying them, they need to still provide some of what people actually buy, while slowly introducing healthier and healthier concepts and food options to people, until the market decides, you know what, we are going to kick out the dyes and the corn syrups, and we're only going to buy these. And what this whole story shares with us is that ultimately customers vote with their wallets. So we have these grand visions of changing the world and impacting the world, but customers today in 2024 will still always vote with their wallets. They're either going to pull out their credit card and buy from you, or not. So if we want to truly impact people, we need to kind of strategically um, mix in how we're impacting people with what the market is willing to adopt today. And then we can slowly introduce over time the ways that we are going to impact people more and more and more. My sister is a perfect example of this. She is a professional tennis coach. She has programs that help people with tennis. And for a very long time, she told me, you know what, Daniel, I really want to talk about mindset. I love talking about mindset. I love helping people with their mindset. And I said, Marissa, the only problem with that is that people don't buy mindset, but people are buying your fitness programs. And so, in your case, continue to sell what people are buying, in her case, the fitness programs, and then sprinkle in the mindset as part of those trainings. And people will tell you, I love what you taught me about mindset and this and that, in addition to what I paid for.
Yeah, I find that this is always a challenge of marketing when you know that people need a certain thing. However, you have to meet the market where they are, and you
Yes.
have to give people what they want, right? Because that's kind of problem aware, solution aware. That's kind of where they are in the journey. So I love that you shared the story of the founder of Whole Foods and how he had to be intentional with meeting the market where it was, so that he can then expose them to better foods, right? Because eventually people will start to pick up the better thing for them. However, unless they are aware, then you can't really put your product or your service in there in a market. It's definitely much harder when people are not already used to something. So it's always this harmony that we go back and forth with our marketing messages and being intentional with that. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's an important point, especially when you are a visionary. And we're talking about this a little bit before we started the interview. Our challenge is always, we're always got the next best thing that's going to solve the world's problems, but we might be a little too fast, the timing, right? We might be too
Yeah.
fast for our time, or the markets might not be able to meet us. So being more conscious around that, and really trusting the timing of things, I've learned it's a very important part of this journey, where we don't want to get frustrated and give up our purpose or the things, our ideas, our downloads, or innovative, authentic insights. But we obviously have to also work smart because we still live in a material world, and studying the markets is very important as well. Daniel, I would love to go into your rainmaker thing that you have on your shirt, and how does that actually connect to some of the marketing channels that you teach people to kind of implement in their businesses?
Yeah, well, I became a fan, like many of us visionaries, CEOs, entrepreneurs, business owners. I became a fan at some point of wearing my affirmations.
Mm.
There is power in wearing your affirmations. So this Rainmaker T-shirt, this is my T-shirt. I wear it pretty much all the time, and then I give it away to people that join my groups as well. And in my case, my superpower, the way people have most, so I have a lot of stuff I share with people. We have this whole X factor effect methodology, and we go into mindset, we go into leadership and everything. But my big superpower, the thing people most often pay me, Daniel Den, for, is for helping them break through the noise with their marketing. And so the identity, what I've realized is the identity for myself that people pay me for is that I help people break through the noise with their marketing. And that identity is also an identity that a lot of my dream customers want to adopt for themselves. They want to become rainmakers as well inside of their business. They want to be able to break through the noise with their marketing, crush it with their sales, and be able to write their own checks. I help people to do that. There's lots of things I want to talk about when it comes to comes to the whole concept of conscious leaders. There's lots of ways I help people move the needle. And a lot of times when people hire me, we stray off the path of marketing and sales, and we'll go more strategically into other areas of the business that help move the needle in big ways. But what people come to me and pay me money for is all about breaking through the noise. And then it allows me to also additionally impact people outside of that. And there's a concept that if you adopt this one concept as a visionary, as a conscious leader, I think it will help us all to be able to break through the noise even more in our own industries. And that is, um, in order to lead a movement, you always need something to fund the movement. And I'll repeat that. In order to lead a movement, you always need something to fund the movement. So if your message is going to get out there, the movement you want to lead, the way you want to impact the world in 2024, if that message is going to get out to the world, you need something to fund that movement so that it can grow. And that goes straight back to what we learned in conscious capitalism with John Mackey, that the reason why you will still find some unhealthy foods inside of Whole Foods is because as they are winning, their message is being spread. They are helping Americans and other people around the world adopt more healthy foods, but they are slowly doing it over time, and they have other areas inside of the business that allows them to fund their impact. It allows them to fund their movement, and I do it as well. There's things people will pay me for, and it gives me the opportunity to impact people in bigger ways, but they pay me. The people always vote with their wallets, right? And so the question is, how do we align the products and services that we sell today in 2024? How do we align that with what our dream customers will actually pay us money for, but that's also aligned with how we want to fund the movements that we're trying to grow? And once you have that all lined up, the products and services our dream customers want to buy with something aligned with our movement, once that's all lined up, then your movement starts to grow and grow and grow. Because sometimes we make the mistake of just saying, you know what, the one way I want to impact the world is this, and people are going to buy it. And then people don't. And then it's back to square one. And so we have to be a little bit more strategic at times. That was a very long tangent, very long answer. So I apologize, Elona, but hopefully it all came back to the concept of why I specifically wear and adopt this affirmation on myself on my t-shirt as the Rainmaker.
No, I love it. I mean, it all connected, right? Because your message came from your experience and from your heart. I always say when you speak from the heart, then the right message always comes about and the dots get connected. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense in the fact that you even, affirm, right? One word that's kind of made up your brand now, Rainmaker, and the affirmations and how all these things, we're attracted to feel like, well, how does this fit into the big vision, right? Because that's usually another challenge is to kind of just connect dots all the time and puzzle piece everything together so that it's one brand and it looks streamlined and you're clear as the founder and everybody else under you is really working towards the same vision. But that comes, with experience and allowing ourselves to be open and kind of intuitively listen to our clients and our customers, right? Because at the end of the day, I found that that's the best thing we could do to create rather than just go, somewhere in a vacuum and be like, well, this is the thing. And it's great that you feel compelled or called to go after something. However, it's always a collaboration because when you service other people, you have to understand where they're also coming from. So being very listening is a great skill I've learned over time. And being very intuitively aligned with where people are and what their challenges are is really smart in any type of marketing or anything that we do in life overall, because we're always solving problems and we always want to influence other people positively, right? Starting from our kids all the way to our clients, our communities, our social media influence, and all the different ways that we get to be able to do that. Daniel, I like to get behind your purpose a little bit. How is it that you got into the work that you're doing today? Can you share a few of the most meaningful moments that led you here?
Yeah, the short story behind the big meaningful like why behind everything that I started helping people doing is in 2009 I created a website. So this is the short version of it because I can go into a lot of details of this story. But I created a website where I started making as much as $1,000 profit per day as an internet marketer. And in 2009, compared to 2024, that $1,000 was worth a lot more. Just for the record. So I was like, I've done it. I'm like, I've broken through the noise. Like, I'm gonna be rich. And to be honest, I was like, I better start planning my retirement, right? Like, I've got things made. And for 6 months, that's how that website operated for me. I was just raking it in. I was like, man, life is easy. And then right around that 6 month mark, somebody copied the website. They completely copied the website. They stole my copy, my ads, and they just kind of made like a clone, and they just switched around a few images. And then one copycat turned into five copycats, turned into 10 copycats, turned into 50. And when all was said and done, when I finally hit the point of not making a profit anymore, I would say I had right over 100 copycat competitors who had, in some way, shape, or form, completely ripped off my website. And when somebody so easily steals your work and there's not much you can do legally, because the internet sometimes is the wild wild west. If somebody wants to steal your website copy, it's very easy for them to just swipe it. They just copy and paste, right? And there's very little recourse to that level of copying. And so this led me down the path of how can we become uncopyable as conscious leaders, as CEOs, as business owners? How can we become uncopyable in our markets? And I started working with the co-author of Ideas That Influence, Pedro Superti. And over the years, we created this methodology that helped people become uncopyable, break through the noise in their markets, and become market leaders and category kings or queens. And that one methodology, we were able to help over 20,000 students and clients through that methodology. And that story of me being so easily copied, I found that lots of the people that we started working with, they also had felt copied in many ways. But we also all, as we grew together and as we perfected this methodology, Pedro Superti and I, we learned that there are ways to become uncopyable inside of your market. There are ways to grow and be so impactful and be such an obvious choice to your dream customers that you kind of make your competition in some ways irrelevant. And we really went deep into that, and that is like our big thing. And so going back to what we discussed earlier, so that big thing of like becoming uncopyable, becoming a market leader, or becoming a category king or queen, that's a really big thing, and people will pay me to help them to do that. But more commonly, they first will pay me for just helping them to break through the noise with their marketing, because so many people struggle with their marketing. So what I end up doing in my own business is I end up selling a lot of, hey, let me help you break through the noise in your marketing. And then as I'm working with them, that's when we go deep into the X factor effect methodology and and we start putting them on the path to that market leadership. So yeah, that all circled around to everything we discussed on the call today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love that. I mean, it's not uncommon that I hear that from pain we come up with an innovative solution, and that's kind of where everything begins. So for you, that was your story and how you ended up here and trying to find a solution for yourself first, and then expanding it to other people. Definitely amazing to hear, and also very gives us condolences when we're going through something hard. It's like, well, this gotta serve me for something, right? Because in that moment when we're going through a challenge, we kind of can get very discouraged and lose sense of maybe some of the potential solutions, or kind of overcome some of our feelings or the things that we're going through. So yeah, at the end of the day, there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and I hear this all the time, as with all the amazing guests that I get a chance to interview here as well, and that was my story too. So yeah, kudos to pain. It would definitely leads us to purpose, because we usually hear the two channels, whether it was pain or passion, that leads us to
Yeah.
purpose. So
The obstacle is the way, right?
Yeah, your story was the other one. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for the amazing wisdom that you shared with us. We've actually reached the end of this interview. I definitely got to have you back because I'm sure we could dive into some of those marketing channels, which everybody's so interested in, and kind of, detailing more around this conversation. But for the sake of our conversation today, can we leave our guests or our audience, I should say, with the final message? And also, I know you've written amazing books. I've received your package in the mail, and I love that you have implemented, besides the reading part, a lot of implementable strategies and steps that people could take. So tell us a little bit about that, and also where is it the audience can further connect with you.
Yeah, it actually in 2024, like this is our thing because we have to practice what we preach, right? So this box experience, ideas that influence, it's an interactive book box experience, comes with a book and multiple surprise envelopes. And yeah, it's available at bigideasbox.com, and it's actually free plus shipping. So you just pay shipping and handling. And this is our thing that breaks through the noise in 2024. Like this is people go to the website and they buy it. Like lots of people buy it because it's a really cool offer and it's free, right? Free plus shipping. So that is the best way for us to help you with your messaging and starting to break through the noise in 2024. Bigideasbox.com is the website. And yeah, I would love to ship that entire box experience out to you, the same one that you got in the mail, Elona. And thank you so much for saying such good and kind words about it. I'm glad that you have been enjoying that as well. What I'd say is a last final summary wrap up is that we one big idea that has helped so many of our dream customers to break through the noise with their marketing is the concept that different is the new better. This has everything to do with our X factor effect methodology. But what we've realized that if you could only choose one thing to break through the noise in 2024, it would be to do things differently, and that people equate things that and companies that do things differently with being better. Lots of times when your dream customers say that they bought from you, they'll start listing off all the reasons why you are different. And they'll say, you are better because you're different in all of these different ways. And so we live by the motto that different is the new better. Different is the way of being better in 2024. Different in the right way, different in a way that your dream customers love. And we're all about helping people find those different ways that your dream customers will love so that you can break through the noise.
Well, thank you so much. I love that message, right? Because we're heading back to really important values of authenticity, and different is better, right? So stay true and unique to your own intuitive insights and the way that you want to build your personal and your company brand is really important nowadays. So thank you for the amazing work that you're doing out there with entrepreneurs. Thank you for creating such great products for people to be able to implement their ideas, because I think obviously we all know that's where the biggest gap is. We all have great ideas. However, when it comes to implement, figuring out the timing, figuring out the order of operations, all those steps that sometimes we don't know what we don't know is really where the juice is, or where the impact is, and where the results are for the profit and the funding piece that we talked about. So, Daniel, thank you so much for coming on, and I want to thank you for always supporting and sharing the show. Don't forget subscribe, review, and share so more amazing conscious leaders can get access to this information and meet our beautiful guests, because I'm all about connecting dots in business and people together, and everything at the end of the day it's human relationships. So definitely go ahead and connect with our guests today and all the amazing guests that we feature every week, I should say. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with another amazing guest and conversation. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Elona.
Hello, hello, dear podcast listeners. Thank you so much for supporting the show. And while we're here, I would love to introduce you to a couple of books that I've written and authored, best-selling books, in case that you're looking to add more legacy products into your life to help you scale your purpose and profits. The first book that I've written is called Connecting the Dots Backwards. And in this book, you'll have the clarity to clarify your vision and purpose so that you can do more good in the world. The second piece that is associated, that goes alongside the book, is the Connecting the Vision Backwards journal as well. So this is meant to implement a lot of the learnings from the book so that you can also self reflect on some of that inner work that is necessary so that you clarify your purpose. The next book that I've written is called Purpose Driven Entrepreneurship. And this holds my framework, my methodology in scaling a company that aligns purpose with profit at the next level. So you'll find a connection of dots between your branding, your marketing, your sales, your systems, and your team so that you can grow a sustainable company that's simplified beyond its owner. The last book that I've written is called Visionary Purpose Driven Leadership. And this book is meant to help you scale up your leadership with your team so that you can build a healthy culture, create a conscious culture, but also, most importantly, build a legacy out of your company. And then the last piece of legacy product that I have created, of course, has stemmed from all my work with clients. And the most important skill that we need as leaders, which is time management, efficiency, and productivity. Focus on Purpose Planner is meant to help you plan your quarters and your year on purpose and on intention so that you're focused and working on the right priorities while freeing up your time and also aligning your purpose and your profit as well. Any of my products can be found right over here, left hand side, on my website, Elona's elonathepartycoaching.com/books. And or you can scan the QSR code right here on the screen to get straight to the links and the books. Happy reading, and thank you again for watching.